This is Paw Print, an animal rescue community, episode 30. I'm Harold Ree.
I'm Nancy Ree. Today's guest is the talented Barbara Brady-Smith. Barbara was our guest on our last episode, episode 29, where she shared some of her pro techniques behind her amazing pet photography, along with the story of firemen and abused Chihuahua. Today, she talks about her two golden retrievers, Julie and Jack, and their roles as therapy dogs.
If you want to learn more about Barbara Brady-Smith, share the joy photography, and see a photo of her two beautiful dogs, Julie and Jack, go to our show notes at thisispawprint.com/30. That's the number 30.
Well, that was the inspiration for the name of my company, Share the Joy Photography, was the joy that therapy dogs and cats bring to people. I knew that when my last dog, which never could have been a therapy dog because she was such a goof, a happy goof, but a goof, when I got my next two dogs, I knew from the start that was my goal with them. So this was back in 2010 when I got these puppies. So started the socialization process immediately. They had little therapy dog and training vests, so I took them out as soon as they were clear with their vaccines and sat in front of Pete's Coffee in Lafayette forever to get them to the point where they were tolerant of sights and sounds and people and whatever. And then as soon as they could pass the big test, which is a requirement to become a therapy dog, which is the Canine Good Citizen test, I had them tested for that. They both failed round one, but they both passed round two when they were just 1 year old. And then, so the female was ready temperamentally, my girl Julie, to do therapy work right away. So she started when she was just one. And then my boy Jack, her brother, needed a couple more years to grow up, so he started when he was 3. But we do therapy work all over. A therapeutic nursery school in Oakland for 2 to 5 year olds that have been traumatized. They say things to my dog that they don't say to their therapists, and they can't come visit the dog unless they can calm and center themselves. So seeing them provide that kind of self-discipline is an amazing thing. And then we do hospice work, visiting people at the end of the stages of their life who have loved animals but can't have them at that stage. And we visit John Muir Hospital, reading programs at local libraries, because they found that when a kid reads to a dog, their performance anxiety goes away and they just read. And they become better readers. It's fun to have you teach your dog how to look like they're paying attention.
That's right. How would you define therapy dog? Nursery school age children, and then people at the end of life.
That's right.
How would you define therapy?
A calming, loving, happiness-bringing critter. And when my dogs come in, I just bring them one at a time, but when they come into a situation, you can see anxiety leaving the person they're visiting. You can see a joy come on the person's face, regardless of if they're 2 or 90. You can see memories in older patients of the joy they had with their dogs come forth. So their comfort, more than anything, they provide a level of comfort and security that is kind of magical.
What kind of temperament and what kind of training do you actually need to get going with an animal before they're qualified?
That they're not a thief, like my last one.
You have to explain that.
If you left a sock out or your purse here or your sunglasses here, she'd steal it and then it'd be destroyed. So the primary test that animals need to pass to become a therapy dog is the Canine Good Citizen exam, which is administered under AKC guidelines all over the place. It tests for 10 things. Most of them are obedience related, so that the dog will heel, will stay, will come when called, will not jump. And in addition, they are non-responsive other than friendliness to other animals, so that they're not dog aggressive, that they're not frightened easily by an umbrella or a walker or a wheelchair. So I actually rented a wheelchair and a walker here for a week so that my dogs could understand how to maneuver around them and not be frightened by them. Same thing with umbrellas. And then the last thing is supervised separation, that they're okay with you not being there for a couple of minutes. So all of those things require exposure to a ton of different things, sights and sounds and people, and that if they can react to them, certainly. It's a matter of how quickly they recover from something unique and different. So they can be startled for a second, but then be interested. So a lot of training classes. And because I had 2 dogs and they were litter mates, they create a unique challenge where you don't want them to bond to each other. You want them to bond to you. So the majority of their classes were done independent of the other one, which was a whole lot of time for me.
Yeah, that's double the work.
It's at least double the work.
What has been the positive for you having 2 therapy dogs, and have there been any kind of hiccups or any kind of developmental issues that you've had to go through yourself?
Well, the positive certainly is getting back to my daughter saying you need a purpose in your life. There is no doubt that the rewards that come from bringing a dog to someone and they then experiencing some joy or some relief from their experiencing has been a tremendous benefit for me personally. I love doing the work. All the situations are different. We never quite know what we're going to run into. I needed to understand my own dog's personalities to know what do they like and what do they not like. So my female, Julie, was doing, for example, the therapeutic nursery school for quite some time. And then one day she didn't want to do it anymore. It became clear she didn't want to go in. And when she was in, she didn't want to be there. And when she left, she did a happy dance in the parking lot. So I talked to the director of the therapy program I work with, the Animal Rescue Foundation. And she said, well, Julie's just done with that. Let's find something else. And I had already found other things, hospice work and hospital work, which was perfect for her. And she said, maybe it's time for your goofball Jack to work with the little kids, because he was reaching about the point where he was ready to do therapy work. So got him certified through ARF. He'd already passed the exam, so certified through ARF. Did a trial run with the little kids, and he's perfect. I have also participated in a program with the Hospice of the East Bay called their Bridge Program, which is for family members who have lost a family loved one. And they meet twice a month, and I bring one or the other dog to the Bridge Program. And it's an activity that, for the most part, the kids can participate in. And I started with my female, and she was like, nope, too much like the kids over in Oakland. So now Jack does that. I think one of the most challenging emotionally for me has been the hospice work, because by definition, you're working with a client who is dying. So I had to go through specialized training myself to prepare myself for that. I've described on a couple of occasions this one particular client who, when I first met her, she was at home, her family taking care of her, in her 60s, dying of cancer, and she's still very active, very alert. And Julie would come in, I'd sit her up on an ottoman next to the woman's bed, and the woman would play with Julie, and Julie would be very active, and it would be just perfect. And then as time went on and the patient declined in terms of her activity level, so did Julie's activity level. She modified her behavior for this particular client. And the very last visit, the client wasn't awake. And Julie put her head on the bed, and the daughter put the woman's hand on Julie's head. And we just watched. And then she said to me, well, I think you can go now. I don't think Mom knows you're here. So she said to Mom, I'm going to let Julie and Barbara go now. Is that okay with you? And the woman shook her head no. And so we stayed. And that was the last interaction the woman had with her daughter. Wow. So powerful.
Oh.
And just to watch, this is over a period of 2 months, Julie's behavior modified, yet still clearly providing a benefit to a patient.
But as the owner, or as someone who's there, it must take just so much out of you too, right? It's whenever anybody's in a therapeutic situation, it's almost like you need therapy yourself sometimes afterwards or before. I
agree. And that's what the training's for, and that's why Hospice continues to have ongoing training for us. And I think that's something I see, too, in the rescue community. I see how hard it is for rescuers and foster families to provide, too. It's working with animals, whether it's in a therapy dog environment, in a rescue environment. It is heart-wrenching work.
How do folks get in touch with the various therapy organizations that you belong to?
If they wish to be a participant in terms of having therapy dogs come into their organization, in my case, I work with the Animal Rescue Foundation, ARF, and they contact the director at ARF, Pat Mills, either via the website or on the phone, and it's a simple application process to determine what kind of animals they want, and then that provides Once that organization has been vetted, that provides the insurance for all the therapy teams to be able to go visit that organization. And then it's set up from there. But there are therapy groups all throughout the Bay Area that work different geographic regions. The Animal Rescue Foundation certainly works the East Bay and a little bit in on the other side of the tunnel as well.
We want to say thank you to Barbara Brady-Smith and her 2 therapy dogs, Julie and Jack. If you want to learn more about today's episode, including ways to connect with a therapy dog, cat, or other animal, go to our show notes at thisispawprint.com/30. And as we've been mentioning, if you'd like to nominate a guest for a future episode, you can email us at thisispawprint@gmail.com. Or you can go to our contact page, thisispawprint.com/contact. If you want to find me or Nancy on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, you can find us at This Is Paw Print, all one word. If you want to listen to more episodes, you can find us on iTunes, SoundCloud, or Stitcher. We want to thank all of you, our listeners, for sharing your stories. And we want to welcome listeners from Houston, Texas, Fort Erie, Ontario, and Kirklees, Yorkshire in the UK. You share a positive message of love and peace by saving an animal. Have a great day, everyone, and see you next time on Paw Print.
Is a production of EVER Education.
You can't handle the truth!
Woohoo!